It is now 11 o'clock, so we will get started. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Welcome to today's this spotlight session on paraphrasing with MAXQDA. My name is Dr. Michael Gizzi, and I'm a certified trainer for MAXQDA, and I've been using the paraphrasing tool for several years, and I'm looking forward to spending this next 45 minutes with you. Exploring how it's used. It's actually fairly easy to use, but we'll see the various ways you can take advantage of it. So paraphrasing is something that you probably don't think about a lot when you're initially conceptualizing using MAXQDA, because you often will think about, well, I'm coding data, I'm doing a content analysis. And paraphrasing is a wonderful tool that lets you write brief summaries of text, or it doesn't even have to be text. You can paraphrase anything without actually coding. It's a way of putting your data in your own words. And the question is, well, why would I want to do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is you might want to explore your data. You're at the beginning of a research project, and you want to sort of see, say you've got interviews, and you want to just sort of get a sense of the data. And you might want to take it and put it in your own words as a way of summarizing that content. You might want to be using MAXQDA to create a literature review. And your articles are all in PDF format. Paraphrasing is a powerful tool for that. It's a way to take data and kind of reduce it into your own words, and then use the additional tools to distill that, pull it out. I'll show you examples of that. You may also want to identify core concepts that you can use to build a coding system, a code book. Paraphrasing is a powerful tool for inductive code building. You explore several documents, and after paraphrasing things, you identify concepts that you think you need to code, and then you proceed from there to create your coding system. Earlier today in a session on grounded theory, one option of paraphrasing was talked about. Instead of doing initial coding in a grounded theory study, you could actually use creating a whole lot of codes. You could actually do paraphrasing of a few documents, and then use categorizing the paraphrase tool to help you kind of build those first level codes. So there's a lot of possibilities. So we're thinking about for literature reviews, you know, you want to use the paraphrase tool to summarize the main points in an article. And then you will be able to draw on the paraphrase matrix tool to let you view all of the paraphrase segments that you can copy into a memo or out of MAXQDA into the word processor. I'm going to show you some hints too about that in terms of identifying page numbers in documents and putting those right into your paraphrases. What we're going to do today is I'm going to use these slides, but I'm going to go back and forth in exploring the actual the tool. We're actually living, my PowerPoint, you'll notice, is not in PowerPoint. We're actually in MAXQDA. So, oh, and when you have questions, you can use the chat or the Q&A. I'm fine with that. I most think the chat is fine. If you're paraphrasing for code development, if you're inductively developing codes through an exploration of your data, paraphrasing provides you with the tools to easily summarize key points in your data. The categorized paraphrase tool will let you view all the paraphrases, organize them, you can move them around, you can actually create codes from them. Key points. Don't think of paraphrasing as a substitute for coding. It does have specific uses and limitations. Oh, that's not true. I didn't update my slide. It used to be true that you couldn't search paraphrases. That is now true. That is false. You can search your paraphrases, so it's not a limitation anymore. It is true that paraphrases are limited to 255 characters. And paraphrases do have limited use in the analysis stage of a project. They don't, they're not easily accessible in the same ways that a annotated code comment is. Another thing to think about is when you're paraphrasing, you're summarizing data, right? You may think about, well, how is that different from using the summary grid to create summary tables, which also summarizes data? The difference is you're paraphrasing text that you're not coding, whereas a summary grid is only able, and this project doesn't have a lot in it, but a summary grid only enables you to summarize actual coded segments. So they are two different things. One thing that is very nice, though, is that you can today, and again, sorry, on the screen it says, I don't think I can't edit that here because it literally is just a graphic. You can search paraphrases. I'll go back to this later, but you'll notice here there are 12 paraphrases in this project that involve the word leadership. And so you do have access to them that way. So that's a powerful enhancement to paraphrasing. So how do we paraphrase? Well, first off, we open a project and we go to the Analysis tab. And you're going to see here on the right, we have Paraphrase. And you can either select from the submenu, paraphrase the document, categorize existing paraphrases, view your paraphrases from particular documents in a matrix, or print a document that has paraphrases. We'll go through all of these today. And you can access paraphrasing just by clicking on this. And when you do that, you have entered paraphrase mode. And once you're in paraphrase mode, anything you highlight is going to automatically open a window to create a paraphrase. Now, I don't really want to paraphrase this presentation, but I'm just showing you here. So I can highlight a segment of text and put it in my own words. And when I do that, that part of the text will turn green, and you're going to see the paraphrase itself will show up in the right sidebar. Now, if your copy of MAXQDA doesn't seem to have the right sidebar, it's because you have it turned off. And it's right here. Oh, and you know what? I can't make it go away because I'm in paraphrase mode. This is an important thing. When you're paraphrasing, you can only paraphrase. All other tools get locked out. So turn off paraphrasing. And so now my data looks just normal, right? I turn on my right sidebar, put it in my own words there. I can click on this. It highlights the paraphrase text. Hopefully that makes sense. I will show you a way that you can do this without being fully in paraphrase mode. You can also access this by going right to here. So instead of clicking on the icon, you can click Paraphrase Document. So again, when you enter paraphrase mode, all other analysis tools are temporarily locked till you either switch to a different tab or click on the paraphrase icon to deactivate it. So it's like when you're in the smart coding tool. Once you're in that tool, you can't do anything else until you exit it. So how do we paraphrase? it's really quite simple. You turn on paraphrase mode, you highlight the text, you select the text that you want to paraphrase. When you release your mouse or your trackpad, that window will pop up and you can write your paraphrase up to 255 characters. Now, what if you paraphrase something and want to say more than 255 characters? That's easy. Take the segment, cut it into two paraphrases, and then just continue it. It's the same hint that I use with code comments. Generally, though, 255 characters is a lot. It's enough to put something into your own words. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, and I will answer them as we go through this. Now, as I said, once you click OK, that text turns green. The bubble appears on the right side, the right sidebar. There's a new way to paraphrase. I don't remember if it came out in the most recent revision of MAXQDA 2022, but you can now paraphrase selections on what I'll say is on the fly, meaning while you're just in a document, while browsing in a document as if you were coding and you decide you want to create a paraphrase, you can highlight a segment, select a segment, right click, and select paraphrase selection. And that will open the paraphrase window for you. So let's practice this. Go home, my document system. So here's a document. I'm not in paraphrase mode, but I want to take this text and put it into a paraphrase. But I want to be able to keep doing other things as well. On the fly, I can just right click, paraphrase selection, and I'm not going to continue to write, and click paraphrase. The difference is when you're doing that on the fly like that, you are not locked in paraphrase mode. So anytime you want to paraphrase, you would have to select it. Okay. But I could also take text, and if I wanted, and I could, sorry, I don't have a coding system viewable. I could take that segment and, where was it? Defining leadership. I could just code. So I can do both. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Pretty easy. If I was doing this in paraphrase mode, I'm going to come down to a document. I've been using this one for a long time. So I'm coming into this nice section of this article. I'm trying to paraphrase. I want to create a literature review, and it's discussing power. And there are 5 laws of power. If I want to paraphrase, typically I will go to analysis. I will go to paraphrase, turn it on. As soon as I turn it on, all my paraphrases are now highlighted. So that's one of the benefits of being in that version of it. And you'll notice 2 sections are not. I highlight this, and power fills a vacuum. Actually, that whole statement would be something I would want. And when I'm done, it's now paraphrased. And to complete this, power is always personal. Now you'll notice some of these are already been coded, but I'm going to show you how we will code those later on as we move through this. So if I have normal text, that's exactly how I do it. If I am working with a PowerPoint, I'm sorry, yeah, excuse me. If I'm working with a PDF, here's the exact same article in PDF format. It's not very readable. I don't really need to code the same thing or paraphrase the same thing. But I just highlight the text in using the paraphrase functions. Same thing here, but I would have to turn paraphrasing on to do it. In this instance, if you have something highlighted first, it won't show up as a paraphrase. So you would have to click in. And then paraphrase it. Now I have a paraphrase there. Now you'll notice at one point, I kind of got yellow text like this. I can take in a, I don't think this has any graphics. But if I was dealing with a document, say this quote right here was a graphic and I wanted to paraphrase that, I could just highlight like this and it will, you know, so and that sort of highlighted area will be paraphrased. So when we look here, I once had this image and it was, hang on, sure, let's close that. And this image itself was useful to me. And I wanted to actually, you know, sort of like identifying a company's strategy, what to look for. I could easily highlight the text in the image and then write my paragraphs for it, paraphrases for it. Same way I just did. And so once I've completed that, the paraphrase part of the image will be in yellow if you hover over the paraphrase text in the sidebar. So, different example, but same idea. How was I? Thought we paraphrased it. Oh, sidebar. See, it's highlighted like that. It turns yellow. It's showing me that it's been highlighted. You'll notice when I first went into here, nothing showed up because the sidebar was off. So if it's gray here, it means your sidebar isn't on. So instead, I need to make sure the sidebar is on. And then I can select, do I want to see memos, comments, paraphrases? It used to be I could see memos and paraphrases or comments, but not all. But today I can select and view everything at once. So in this example here, I'm still in paraphrase mode. I'm seeing a paraphrase and I'm seeing a memo. Okay. There are lots of ways to view your paraphrases. You can scroll through a document and you can view them in that right sidebar. Just sort of scroll through like we just were. You can use the paraphrase segments tool in the code system, which is right here. I'll show that in a second. Or you can use the categorize paraphrase tool or the paraphrase matrix tool. These are all ways to view your paraphrases. So in the sidebar, again, I have the sidebar on with paraphrases on. I can see everything here, and I can click on, I can hover over it, and it'll highlight. If I go to paraphrase segments, I double click it, and now I'm seeing each segment from each document and the paraphrase. There's a lot of samples in here because I've been using this. This is a dummy project. Okay. So that's one way to view your paraphrase. Another way to view your paraphrases. Notice in paraphrase segments, if you want to turn some of these segments into codes, you can do that through creating a new code or using an existing code. I already did that. I lost where we were, sorry. I thought staying in one app was going to make life easier, and it doesn't. You can also, when you're this tool here, if we right click on it, we can activate documents that include paraphrases. So that's one way to get to, and you can open your paraphrase segments. You could also, I've already done it, but so I'll delete it. You could transform into a document variable that will show you how many paraphrases are in each document. How did I enter paraphrase segments? Like this. Double click. So let's talk about categorized paraphrases. Categorized paraphrases is a way that lets you see all of your paraphrases with the code system that exists in the project. You can organize paraphrases if you want. You can link them to new or existing codes. We just simply, actually, let's see what's next. And it'll look like this. Why you want to use this tool? It lets you easily create codes from them. You can drag and drop to move your paraphrases within the tool. And you can link them to existing codes just to sort of make sure if your interest is in building a code, you can see, all right, I already have a code here. This one fits that. So categorize paraphrases opens up a new window. Notice I can also limit it to activated documents if I want. 50 paraphrases from 5 documents, 23 paraphrases from 1 document. I can, if I want here, I could take this and I could drag this here if I had the reason to. The point is I can also Command Z or Control Z. No, it won't. I can reorganize my paraphrases. What you're seeing here is the document, the codes that are already tied to that segment, okay? And so notice here, we have a code called 5 Laws of Power. I had created this through this tool early on, but I could select here. Notice I have a code, 5 Laws of Power. I can drag this to 5 Laws of Power. And now this is coded with that. Do the same with this. Now say I want to create a new code. When I'm in this the paraphrase window, I can right click and it will let me either remove the paraphrase or create and assign a new code. Notice that won't work anywhere else. Oh yeah, it'll work here. Here or here. Create and assign a new code. Now I've created personal power. I can move it into the structure of the code system so that it's where I want it to be. And this is a way, if I'm inductively creating a coding system, so say I code several documents initially, I paraphrase several documents initially. My goal is to see how, I want to inductively create some codes. Maybe I'm looking for categories or themes. I can create those from my paraphrases. I could reorganize them, putting several paraphrases right next to each other. And in that instance, I could select all 5 of those, right click, create and assign a new code. We'll just call this laws, even though we already have it. Click OK. Now notice all of those now have that code. I can link to an existing code just so I see it. That link doesn't do anything. It's more of an external, it's more of a tool for you to see what you have here. Notice you can also filter, what's this? Display only paraphrases from the selected code. What I'm set on, like that. Or I can display all my codes, or just the codes in a particular document. I can export this. I can open it as an Excel table or as a Word document. And again, I can move things around if I want. And if I want to delete something, find a dummy one. Here's one I don't need, obviously. Right click it, remove paraphrase. Now that paraphrase is gone. So that's categorized paraphrases. So I've already gone through all this, creating codes. So in this instance, I started this, and we didn't end up using this, but I started with paraphrases of these elements of strategy, and then ended up creating a series of codes from them that ended up sort of becoming an initial basis of a coding system. All right, get back to literature review. You want another way of viewing your paraphrases is to use the paraphrase matrix. We go back to analysis, and what this will do is this will let us select individual documents and view them like this. So I'm going to select either activated documents or drag them in, and then I'm going to be able to view my paraphrases in a matrix. So let's go paraphrase matrix. I can literally do just one document if I want, but I'll take 2. Click OK. And now I'm seeing all of my paraphrases in the order they appear for one document 23, one document 8. Notice there's only 2 columns here, so if I add another document to this, same article, different version of it, I could have all 3. It'll let me view it as many as I want. Oh, as soon as I select in the matrix, so I'm in the matrix and I click on a code or a paraphrase, it brings me right to it in the data. Yeah, paraphrase matrix has been around since at least 2020. I'm not certain, but if you don't see it, in your MAXQDA 2018, then yeah, you don't have it. It would show up under paraphrase as matrix. I think it's always been there, but I don't remember. Here's another thing. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to select the one document that I'm working on. Just make it easier. Moral leadership and overview. Here are all the paraphrases. By the way, I can control the text size here. I can also display the origin or not. All right, you're going to hang on one second. And what I can do here is I can select all of that text if I want, copy it. I'm using a Command-C on a Mac, Control-C on a PC. And from there, I could put it into a free memo if I wanted to. So say I'm paraphrasing data, a document, I could then go into the document memo that I have for this document. I'd already included the abstract here, and I could put in the paraphrases here and then edit that and sort of write a summary. I'm going to finish up this and then print paraphrases, and then I'll answer all the questions since we still have about 13 minutes left. Another option, I did this already, is I could put in the document summary section. Again, this is only in the MAXQDA 2022 feature. I could put the paraphrase main points. Here's another thing that's useful. Notice here it says Burns' leadership is the least understood, page 2. If I am paraphrasing a document that has pages in it, say this is the first one in it, I could edit my paraphrase. Oh, by the way, just double click on it and it'll edit it. And I could add to that paraphrase, the first paraphrase on a page, some sort of a footnote to the page number, 267. And then when I get to a paraphrase on the next page, which I don't have one or whatever, apparently I need to actually create a paraphrase. Right click, paraphrase. So this is point 2, page 268. Why would I want to do that? Well, if I'm viewing this in the matrix, I would be able to, and I'm writing a literature review, I would know where my stuff is coming from so that when I want to cite it. Alexander answered the question. Paraphrase matrix was MAXQDA 2020. So that's a hint. I like doing that. You can also export it, the matrix to Word or Excel. Usually I just copy it and paste it where I want it. The last thing is you might want a printed version of a document with paraphrases. You just go to select print document with paraphrases, and you'll view your document. You can either easily view it outside of MAXQDA on paper, print it out, or as a PDF, and it'll have the paraphrase text included. So this document here, these are the paraphrases. It looks a lot like track changes in Word. So, for example, I would go analysis, paraphrase, print document with paraphrases. I'm sorry, it's only going to work on the document you're in. So I have to be in a document that has paraphrases. So here's this print document with paraphrases. It's going to show me the document and everything that it paraphrased will be here. And then I could either print it to my printer or to a PDF. So let's say I print it to a PDF and voila, here's that PDF for you. So I can actually have a new, so I can print this out and I could have this. So paraphrasing is a very valuable tool with a lot of options. It's not required to do a qualitative analysis, but it's extremely valuable in a lot of different ways. In all honesty, I was using MAXQDA for a long time before I was even aware of it. Now it's oftentimes one of my go-to tools in starting a project. Do I always paraphrase in a project? No, it'll depend on it. I'm working on a research project now where I knew exactly all of my coding system and my major themes were driven from theory. They were deductive. I didn't need to paraphrase to do it. And I didn't need to do a literature review for what I was working on. So in that instance, I didn't bother. So this looks more powerful than adding comments or memos as a text to a text selection before any. I would argue that if you're coding data, code comments, I think, are absolutely essential because the code comments are going to provide, they're going to follow your data. If you're going to be summarizing data, if you're going to be using almost any of the tools in MAXQDA, when you are coding data and you add a code comment, actual project, student project right now, actually, that's not what I want. I don't want intercoder stuff. So if I am looking at dash cam footage, I'm going to be able to see, and where did it go? I thought he did a comment there. Yeah, I'm going to be able to see the comments there. If I am using analysis tools, they're going to show up with them. I think, there's benefits of it. The thing is, the paraphrases, they won't show up everywhere. And so they're far less of an analysis tool. So if I was doing, just making it up, I'm going to be able to see the comments when I'm retrieving segments, for example. So anyways, I guess there are questions in the Q&A. After you code a paraphrase, if you delete the paraphrase, the coded segment remain coded. Okay. Should. Actually, I can use this. Right click. There's a paraphrase. Shows up here. I am going to go to analysis, categorize paraphrases. You do have a few paragraphs, segments in this. You said if I delete the paragraphs, I code it. So I have this test. I delete the paraphrase. Nope. Are you coding the segment or the paraphrase? That's a great question. I am creating a code based on the paraphrase that's tied to the segment. So let's create this. Then exit this. The segment is what gets coded, not the paraphrase itself. If I'm using the paraphrase to create a code, say I wanted this text, I was using, this was the basis. It's not, this is a bad example, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to copy that paraphrase, create a new code, and then I'm going to paste in my paraphrase into the code memo. And the reason I do that is so that I can explain why I created it. In this instance, that's not saying anything, but I would assume that my paraphrase would help me define, what the code means. I'm just going to cancel that because I don't need it. Hopefully that answers the question there. And back to the chat. You try to create, show how you create a variable that counts the number of paraphrases in a document. Go to the other project. We do this here, and I've already done it, so I'll delete it. The way you create a variable for paraphrases is you right-click on paraphrase segments, transform into document variable, and now you're going to have a paraphrase variable that will show up. And that is not one you can edit. It is a system variable that is driven by the number of paraphrases. I could also do this. I can show intersections of paraphrases with codes. And that'll demonstrate those and retrieve segments for me. Can also use the Code Explorer for paraphrase segments. This is brand new. That looks like a little bit of an error here. 1,000,000.68% moral leadership. I don't know what that is. But this shows me where paragraph segments occur in the project. Apparently, I could even, for that code, I wonder how it's going to work, considering paragraph segments as a code. Single code model. Yep, of the paraphrase segments. I also, in MaxMaps, can create a single case model of a document showing the paraphrases as a map. The variable is dynamic. As you add more, I'm looking at your question, as you add more paraphrases, the number will increase, yes. But if I create a map using, basically paraphrases in MaxMaps can only be document maps of single case models of a particular map for paraphrases. Any other questions? Folks, I hope this was valuable. There's a lot here. You can always go back to this video, and you can also go on YouTube and grab the Paraphrase webinar. Although that one's been a little bit older and it doesn't have some of the new features in it. I hope you've had a good first day at MAXDAYS, and I hope you're back here tomorrow.